Hi, I'm Christina Applegate.
And I'm Jamie Lynn Sigler.
And this is
Messy. The following message is brought to you by Novartis. Since partnering with Novartis, I have been thinking a lot about when I was diagnosed with relapsing MS. I kept it a secret at first, and that robbed me of the support I really needed. I finally found the courage to open up about it and quickly learned the importance of speaking up. That means making your voice the loudest in the room. You have to find an MS specialist who's the right fit, who makes you feel seen and heard. It's kind of like dating. That's why I partnered with Novartis to create a 3-step guide to inspire others to own their RMS journeys, recognize their needs, and find a treatment that works for them. Learn more about my story at reframingms.com.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Messy with my girl, Jamie Lynn Sigler. We usually talk about our things, our MSs and our stuff, but every once in a while we get to have someone incredibly special to talk to. Mm-hmm. And today I don't even know how to explain this person. He raised me. So if you don't like anything about me, it's his fault. If you do like anything about me, also his fault. Years and years of my life spent with this man, and he's an incredible actor. He's an incredible human being. And this is the one, the only, Ed O'Neill. Hi,
Woo-hoo.
Eddie.
Hi, Christina.
Hi, my love.
Hi,
so nice to meet you, Ed.
Nice to meet you guys.
How are you today? What's up? What are you doing?
I'm good. I had a little workout class this morning that I do once a week. It's called super slow. First, because I'm super slow.
That should be my hashtag.
So yeah. So
maybe that's our new MS hashtag, James.
I do everything
super
very
slow.
slowly.
I like it.
It's pretty cool, actually. You can Google it.
Okay.
And then I had to talk to Mark, my manager.
Yeah.
About a movie offer I had a couple days ago, which I passed on.
You don't need to do anything.
It happens.
Yeah. I mean, Eddie,
you passed on most. Most of them you have to pass on.
Yeah, except for the one that you went for my star ceremony. Anyway, we don't have to talk.
That's right. I was doing that when it happened.
Yeah, and he didn't get to come, and that's okay. No, I don't. I hold no grudges. But before we get into like everything about everything, I don't know why I didn't know this. You were almost in the mob. Why is it? I've known you since I was 15 years old. What is
that?
this?
It's an exaggerated. Here's what happened.
Okay. Tell me what happened, please.
What happened?
Straighten this out for me.
I was doing some kind of podcast. I forget what it was, but it was. The question was, "What's the best advice you ever had, or someone gave you?" And I said it was my father. And I said, and the unusual thing about it was my father never gave me any advice. But this one time. So I remembered it. And it was when I was cut by the Steelers. I was a rookie with the Steelers.
Yeah, well, I know that.
And I came home, to Youngstown. And I didn't have anything, going on. I hadn't graduated from the university. Football was over. There weren't any jobs I wanted to do, in Youngstown. You know how you are when you're just like adrift, I didn't have anything and I was broke. And when I grew up in Youngstown, I went to school with a lot of kids whose fathers were in organized crime, because Youngstown was a very big mob town. It was an organized place. And and I went to a Catholic school. So all these guys were Catholics. Oh
my God.
And I went to school with a lot of their sons. And then as we got older, some of those kids followed their father into that various lines of, ways to make money that, you don't talk about. So one of these guys was a good friend of mine. And he called me out of the blue because he had gotten married. I hadn't talked to him in quite a few years, actually. But he used to come to my plays, when I was in college plays and that stuff. He was a big fan of because he liked movies and theater. Anyway, he said, let's go get a cup of coffee. So I'm right in the neighborhood. So I went with him. And on the way, he said he wanted to stop and he needed to talk to this guy about something. So we went to this place, it's bar. And it wasn't the kind of place I usually went to because it was kind of an upscale, older guy. You know, in those days, there were people older.
Older than you?
So he said, come on in with me. We'll get a drink. So I went in and he was asking about a guy. You know this guy named blah, blah, blah. And the bartender said, no, it doesn't ring a bell, And he said, well, I'm an old friend, and I haven't seen him. And I'd love to, I heard he comes here and, I'd like to surprise him, and then, and have get back in touch. So he slid the guy over a matchbook and there was a 20 in it. A 20 was a pretty good tip in 69,
Yeah.
So the guy said, well, okay, put it away. So I'll keep it in mind. It doesn't ring a bell. The name doesn't, maybe the face would if I saw him. So we left. Well, I knew what all that was about, there was some gambling situation happening there and the guy owed some money and, they wanted to talk to him.
Mm-hmm.
Payments. But we don't, it's not like you say in that business, you don't say things like, what do you do exactly for a living? You don't ask questions like that. You don't ask any questions. And so on the way home, he said, how are you doing? What are your plans? And I said, I don't know. I don't have any. He said, well, you got to do something. Are you broke? I said, yeah, I'm broke. He said, I got a couple things you could do. Nothing serious at all, just easy stuff. Nothing that would ever get you in trouble. You could take this to so-and-so and drop this off to so-and-so, maybe go have a word or two with a guy.
It seems kind of mobby.
I knew what that meant. Well, I just come off the Steelers. So I was 23 years old. I was 235 pounds, no fat, so I was right.
You fit all the criteria
for
the job.
Irish.
So yeah, I'm Irish. So, but that didn't stop anybody in Youngstown. They weren't all Italians, there were a lot of different nationalities. So I said, well, thanks a lot. That's really nice of you, and he said, no pressure. I said, well, let me think about it. Cause I was thinking about going to New York to try this acting thing, cause I had been doing it in around Youngstown. And he said, fine, no problem. So the next day, my father was going to work. He was on a shift. He drove a gas truck. And he was on the porch on a swing. He had a little swing. He liked to swing before he went to work in the afternoon shift. He said, hey, I saw your buddy here yesterday. Picked you up. Where'd you go? I said, I went for coffee. He said, always liked that kid. Good kid. I said, yeah, he's a great guy. He said, can I ask you a question? Now, this is my father who never said anything. I said, sure, Dad. What? He said, could you do time? And I said, no. I knew what he meant. You know what that is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're on the up and up on doing time. I love you.
I knew exactly what he was talking about. I said, no. He said, no, you couldn't do time. I said, no, I don't think so. I'd go crazy. He said, okay. Got to get to work.
There you go.
Wow.
And so
now you're not in the mob.
I phoned myself in the phone. I called my friend. I said, I can't thank you enough, but I'm gonna go to New York and give this acting thing a try. And best of luck. And anytime you need anything, I was never really going to do it.
No, well, I love
I was thinking about it. Because I thought maybe I can do it for a couple of weeks, and
right.
You don't do that kind of thing for a couple of weeks.
So all of a sudden there were articles saying Ed O'Neill almost was in the mafia, that kind of thing. It was never even that was
okay. Well, I'm
a conversation.
I'm so glad we have that settled because when I saw that, I was like, wait a minute. I've known this man since I was 15 years old and I've never heard this story. And I have heard all your stories, Ed O'Neill.
And I knew a lot of these guys, and that's why. I knew how everything worked. And I hung around, there was nightclubs. You couldn't grow up in Youngstown the way I did and not know all these guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You just knew them.
I'm taking away from that story how great your father was at like parenting, because I feel like I'm always trying to talk to my kids through things, and now I'm just realizing there's just a much stronger move there.
He was an unusual man. He had no real education at all. He was a tremendously strong, physically strong, handsome guy. And but he had no education. He was born in the Depression. But he was a great carver. He could carve out of wood things that looked real, Like when we were kids, he would make snowmen, but they were men. They weren't the three balls with they were a person. And everybody in the neighborhood would come by and go, it's like they make those sand things in Venice Beach now. It was like that with snow. He could do these things, so he was an interesting guy.
He was creative.
He was extremely creative, and he was also insecure because he didn't have any real way to make money. He had to labor. And but he was a good guy. He was a good father. Great father.
Well, that's good.
Yeah,
that could ruin a whole life.
No.
if that position's not filled very
some
well.
Friends that happened to.
Yeah, I think we've known a few.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, I'm always like amazed by you that you like went from Youngstown, Ohio, and like in this blue collar kind of steel town, and all the things that you've said and football, and then ended up playing Kowalski in Streetcar Named Desire in New York.
That was actually in Canada.
See?
I did that in Canada. That was
Were they ready for that in Canada? Just kidding. Sorry, Canadians.
It was in, what's that town up there where they had the big oil? It was Western Canada. It was
okay.
Not Toronto, but it was out west.
But you still played this amazing character.
Yeah. Yeah. And every choice I made, I kept thinking of Brando, how he did that, how can you do this? He did that.
But that's what I feel like.
You started in the theater.
I started in the theater. Yeah. I did a lot of theater. In New York. I did, Playwrights Horizons, Hartford Stage, Manhattan Theater Club, all the theaters, Philadelphia Drama Guild, Broadway. I did one Broadway show at the Helen Hayes.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
It's the last play before they tore it down. So I was used to auditioning a lot. I learned a tremendous amount working with the regional theaters, because of the actors that did it on a regular basis. Most of them, unfortunately, had problems, like either alcohol or they had phobic problems. And so it kept them on this little circuit. They could work within that universe, but they couldn't go do film or any, a lot of them were like handicapped in that way, but very talented actors.
Yeah.
I think that this, I'm going to say this and then we'll get into other stuff, but I think that nobody could have played Al but you. And I think it's because of your rough around the edges where you've come from.
Yeah. Blue collar
feeling, because you were not Mr. Comedy. You were blue collar. No, neither one of us were but you taught me how to do it. But
because when you showed up, I saw how mad you were that you had to do crazy comedy because you wanted nothing more than to do this very dramatic work, which I understood because I had come from.
I think you were mad too.
Oh, you know how they got me? I was doing Mice and Men at Hartford Stage.
That's what it was. It wasn't.
That's not a comedy.
No, I didn't think it was ever funny.
But you know what I always said, Christina, the best actors, and I'm not saying I was one of the best actors, I'm just saying really good dramatic actors, your favorites, if you think about it, are funny.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Laurence Olivier, Brando, Meryl Streep, but you name them, they can be very funny.
And some dramatic actors go, comedy is too hard because they can't get out of their own heads about
when
it.
You're in a
but
certain niche, you have an insecurity about the other,
yeah, but I think we all kind of learned together. I mean, Katie was basically fresh off the
the audition and a backup singer.
Yes, she was a backup singer. She was 30 years old.
At Midler.
Think about that. She was 30.
Really?
Eddie.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
No, when she was a backup singer briefly for Etta James, who was
Mm-hmm.
my
And
best.
Bette Midler. For a
And
long
Bette
time.
Midler, but it was, I think Etta was first, and Bob Dylan.
Mm-hmm.
But when she was with Etta, who I knew quite well because my best friend was her road manager. And Etta, Etta was something, man. And when she was talking to Katie about the job, she was saying, "You like to sing the blues?" And she said, "Yeah, I'm really a blues singer." And she said, "Where'd you grow up, honey?" And she said, "Bel Air." And then I said, "Baby, there are no blues singers come from Bel Air."
But knowing Katie, she's had a lot of blues. She's had a lot of blues.
Oh, God, yes. And that's the whole.
That's why she's Mother Earth.
Yeah.
She is the most like, you can lay in her lap and feel safe. You're like, okay, she's got me.
I think Katie wanted to be a singer more than anything else.
Yeah.
We're always a frustrated something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dancer for me. Yeah. Frustrated dancer. Obviously.
Yeah, you were a wonderful dancer.
Thank you.
You can still dance.
No,
I saw a video.
MS it's not very conducive to too much dancing, but
Still dance though on a good day.
On a good day, I guess.
Yes, I agree.
Just wanted to take a quick break and share a word from one of Messi's advertisers. Since partnering with Novartis, I've been thinking a lot about when I was first diagnosed with relapsing MS. And to be honest, I was overwhelmed and in denial, and I didn't want to accept it. Eventually, I had to be real with myself, reflect on what was important, reframe how my diagnosis was impacting my life, and focus on how I was feeling. And I wish I'd started thinking about my needs sooner. It helped me get to a place of acceptance and find the right treatment choice for me. And I really hope others don't wait as long as I did. That's why I partnered with Novartis to create a 3-step guide, hoping it can help people speak up and voice their needs. Get the guide at reframingms.com.
Support for Messi comes from Honeylove. Honeylove has revolutionized the wireless bra game. Their bras feature supportive bonding that eliminates the need for uncomfortable wires and unnecessary bulk. Let me tell you something. I wore my Honeylove bra all day, no complaints, but the real kicker is I wore it to sleep because I forgot I had it on. That's how comfortable it was.
Well, I have to say, I always wear, a quote unquote bralette because many years ago, and I'm going to say this, I'm saying it and we can cut it out. Don't really care. My breast doctor said no underwires, no wire hangers, Christina. So no underwires, very, very bad for the breast health. So I feel like having a bra that doesn't have that is not only incredibly comfortable, but also good for the healthy. I don't know if I can claim that, but I'm claiming it.
You can claim it. Claim it here. Listen, they're lightweight, they're comfortable without sacrificing support, which is the main thing here. So embrace your freedom, the flexibility and comfort with Honeylove's wire-free bras. Plus, they're made with fabric that's so soft, like I said, you'll forget you're wearing it.
And you know what I love? Recently on Instagram, I guess I looked a little bit too long on a Honeylove ad because I was watching it and I was amazed. I was amazed at how it made your back smooth, your boobies up and tight, but not like bleh, boobies. It was like exactly what we want to feel. Because I wear a bra at night all the time. And I love Honeylove. It's the perfect like pajama bra as well as your under your t-shirt bra.
Honeylove is not just supporting women, it's empowering women. Treat yourself to the best bras on the market and save 20% off at honeylove.com/messy. Use our exclusive link to get 20% off, honeylove.com/messy to find your perfect fit.
Support our show check them out at honeylove.com/messy. I've known this man, everybody, since I was 15 years old. And I'd like to tell the story of how I came to be on this show, because then I'm sure Eddie's going to have whatever. There was this show, Married with Children. I read it. And as he said, I was a little snot. And I was like, this is toilet humor. And I don't do toilet humor. And it's totally gross. So they hired two other kids, and shot the pilot, and it didn't work. And they came to me and said, please just watch the pilot that we did. And I'll never forget putting in the VHS tape of MWC pilot, or what it was called, Not the Cosbys at the time, Not the Cosbys pilot. And my mom and I did not want to laugh. We did not want to laugh. And you came on, you had hit your hand on a cactus instead of the alarm, and you had a bandage on your hand. And my mom and I were like, oh God, it was fucking hysterical. Like, and I hate myself for loving this. And that was it. And then Dave and I read together just as like a formality, and then the rest is history. So that's how you and Katie just killed me, man.
Well, I remember that. And, Moye and Levitt were funny guys. I mean,
those are the creators of the show, by the way, people.
Yeah, they were unusual guys, but
they
were funny guys.
They were very funny.
How
guys.
long did it run for?
So many years.
11?
Not too many years. Sorry, so many years.
Wow.
11 years.
11 seasons?
I thought we'd be canceled after 6 shows.
Yeah, 6 shows.
Because we were making
because of
obese women. We were making midgets. We
can't say midgets.
Well,
in the time.
That's what we called them in those days. Little.
Jesus Christ.
I mean,
but also we were on a network that wasn't a network. You had to have literally a coat hanger to get to Fox. It wasn't a network.
Yeah.
For 3 years.
When we went on publicity little tours, we'd end up in some of these TV stations were converted religious channels, and that kind of thing. It was like, they were out in the weeds.
Yeah, it was weird.
Ever, do anything with this show. It was the luckiest thing in the world.
But I remember as a child, like begging my parents and being so happy on the final day when they would let me stay up till 9:00 so I could watch Married with Children with my older brothers, because it was the funniest show on television, in my opinion.
Stalker, Jamie.
I'm sorry.
It was the kind of thing that, Levitt and Moye, they had something right, with the fact that it was a dysfunctional family, no question. But it was funny. And I think their philosophy was, if it's funny, it's okay, as long as it's really funny. And
but at the same time, like, something that I find so hilarious is one time you were sitting with Steve and you go, you know what PMS stands for? Pummel men's scrotums. And Fox cut that out because it was too.
Well, they cut out.
You couldn't. They cut an entire episode. Remember the entire period episode? I think it wasn't the period episode. Which one was it? The sex tape? Look at the period episode, the sex tape episode. What other episodes do we have?
They cut out where we were going to the Come and Go motel.
Yes, the Come and Go.
It was
not spelled how you want it.
Steve and Marcy were going there to spice up their sex lives. And then they talked Peggy into talking me and threatening me to go. So we went, and they had video on the TV, and Peggy turned it on, to, get you going. And it was a tape of our neighbors having sex. They were filming some of the customers.
Yeah.
And it was banned. And I heard that it aired one time.
Yeah.
At 3:00 in the morning in Iceland.
Yeah. I think I got a 25-cent residual for that one.
Yeah.
I still get 25-cent residuals. Sorry. I had a bad deal.
Now they play it now. It's okay now.
No, it's so funny because now I watch TV when I have, and I'm like, it is so much more than what we were doing. Like, we were like Little House on the Prairie compared to the stuff that's on television now, honestly.
No, because it was, it's not.
But it was smart.
Not enough just to be outrageous. it's got to be funny.
Yeah.
And so if it's funny, like I remember I saw a rerun. Now, while I'm thinking of this, I saw a rerun 2 nights ago, and it was me on the couch lamenting the death of my high school car, the Dodge. My Dodge was kaput, and I was weeping. And David, my son, was sitting next to me, and he said, "Dad, come on, you'll get over it. You'll get a new car." And I said something like, "I love that Dodge more than anything in my life." And there's a pause, and David says, "What about me, Dad?" And I look at him and say, "You need a Q-tip."
Oh yeah, funny.
Oh, that's funny.
He was always desperate for your love.
But it's funny.
Sometimes when I'm eating and I really am enjoying the food that I'm eating, you're in my head, and this is for people that love the show, they would know, and you said, "We've eaten, but we've never really eaten," because we were at a fancy restaurant. And sometimes I literally think that in my head all these years later.
It was, and not only Levitt and Moye, that team of writers were funny. A lot of those guys were from Saturday Night Live, the first 3 or 4 years.
That's so crazy. I didn't even know this because I was so young. What was it like you coming in there and having kind of built-in children? What was
Christina like?
I saw what they shot the pilot. They shot it in such a way, and we do that in front of a live audience, but they shot it in such a way that they could lift the children out of the pilot and replace.
That's how important those characters were at the beginning. Just FY.
With
maybe they
Christina
knew too.
Yeah, it was remarkable how.
What was she like back then, and how did she evolve over those 11 years? Because that's a long time.
Well, Christina, first of all, was great. She, most people know this. She's got a photographic memory, so she was just. She knew all the lines before anybody could possibly even read them. She knew them. And she was just a pro. It was great to work with her. It's hilarious. So it was always fun to work with Christina. I, on the other hand, I think over time drove Christina nuts for many reasons. But I always enjoyed that Christina. And Christina thought I could be mean, or I could be.
I went through my goody two shoes moment. I was very spiritual. I didn't like negativity. I didn't want to come into a room with it. And it wasn't, I'm not saying that you guys were negative, but sometimes it was, I think I was just trying to hold myself up. And Eddie knows that I went through so many behind the scenes stuff in my life that I was kind of breaking apart. And so for my way of keeping myself together was kind of keeping this armor up. But, he went through everything with me, my mom's cancer and other things that we'll talk about in a later date.
I just found out something not a month ago that I had never known about the show. And that was when they were trying to find the Al Bundy character. No one ever heard about me. I was an East Coast actor, a theater actor. And I was out here for a failed pilot. And the casting director had seen me in Mice and Men, visiting his aunt or grandmother. And so he said, this is crazy, but I saw this guy playing Lenny, and, maybe. And they said, "Oh, great. Why don't we get Frankenstein to do it or something?" So I auditioned with Katie, and a long story short, they liked both of us, the chemistry, as they call that, chemistry.
Yes.
So I thought, they said, "We're going to cast you." Well, apparently Barry Diller, who was right under Murdoch at Fox, saw one of our something or other run-throughs, I guess. And he said, "Well, you got the girl, but you can do a hell of a lot better for the guy."
Oh my God.
They said, "Well, we're shooting in a week, Barry. We tried, we've seen everybody, Kinnison and all these actors came through. But there was a unique reason why they liked me, which had nothing really to do with me. But anyway, he said, "No, I don't think so." And one of the execs said, "Barry, I think you're wrong." I think he's right for the role. And he said, fine, God damn it, do whatever you want then. And he left. And he went back to his office. Now, I know nothing about any of this. And an hour later, they're having a meeting and they're casting the show. And he called. He said, what'd you do about O'Neill? And they said, well, we're casting him. He said, didn't you know what I said about him? And they said, you said we could do what we wanted. He said, I didn't mean it.
Oh, Barry.
The show was sold at that time for 13. He said, here's the deal, guys. It's no longer 13. It's 1. It's a pilot.
Oh, I didn't even know this stuff. Shit.
It's a pilot. And if I don't like it, this show will never see the light of day. You still want O'Neill?
Oh my God.
Now, in any other situation, I am gone. Who would take the other? And I guess Ron and Michael someday said, we'll roll the dice. Now, they never told me this. When we shot the pilot in front of a live audience, that was what was going on.
In front of the live audience that I wasn't at, which is so crazy because I wasn't there. Because it was 2 other kids.
And then finally afterwards, I guess the story went, because it's in that book that just came out. Diller said, all right. He's all right. All right. We'll go.
He's not all right. There's nobody that could have played Al Bundy but you.
Nobody.
So I'm just saying that.
Much later, when I was doing other things, I was at an HBO party. I think it was even when I was doing Modern Family. He came over to me and said, you know, I made a mistake about you. And I said, we all make them.
Yeah.
What was that?
Yep. Yeah. Oh, wait, can I just say this one thing? Because it really shows to what an incredible mind Eddie is that you told me, Eddie, I think it was you, or maybe it was Ron and Michael. I don't know. When we say Moye and Levitt and Ron and Michael, they're the same people, just so you know. 2 different guys, but same people. Sorry. That when they loved you so much that when you were auditioning or whatever it was, before you opened up the door to do the scene, you just went,
that's right.
This sigh of having to go into his house and having to deal with his life. And they had seen anyone do that.
The scene was I came home from work and I hung the jacket up on the door, and then I faced my wife and the kids and the dinner time. And I just went,
yeah.
And Moye said, he's got the part.
That's it.
Oh, wow.
I never said a word before I said a word. Now that was just me imitating one of my uncles.
I love this story.
Actually, a judge, but his life was a lot like Al Bundy's. And so, by the way, I've never met anybody in the history of the show that ever said, you remind me of me. It was always, you remind me of my dad. You remind me of my uncle. You remind me of my brother or my wife, or say, you remind me of my, the same with Katie, but never me, which I thought was interesting.
Right.
We dealt with the problem that nobody ever dealt with on television before or since. And I never heard anybody say it. The fact that over time, you may not want to have sex with your partner. Nobody, even in Roseanne, when John Goodman and they would get in a fight, when they would make up, they would run up the stairs as fast as they could to leap into bed. And I used to hear Ron Levitt go, yeah, right. You know what I mean? And so nobody else ever did that. They would never broach that universal problem.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. Well, there you have it. Another thing I have to say before, I know Jamie has so many questions that she wants to ask me, but I find myself I'm so stressed out. I have been for so many years that I find myself that when I'm laying in bed, someone could pull the pillow out from behind my head and my head would still be sitting up. And there was an episode where Peggy pulls the pillow out from underneath him and he's asleep, but his head is still up from the bed. Like
I used to
so
actually
tense.
do that. I used to actually watch TV on the living room floor with my head off the. I don't know why I did that. I think it was because my body was bigger than my head.
I think it's a stress thing too, because I'll be asleep and you could literally pull the pillow and my head will be sticking up like. It was such a perfect moment because there was no dialogue, there was nothing, and it was just her taking the pillow out from behind you.
One of the shows I loved that we did, Christina, was the one about the magic and the ball, the gypsy, and the crystal ball. Remember when we had I had the con with the hotline to doing your fortune telling.
Oh, vaguely
dancing to the music, you and I.
Why can't I remember this? That's so weird.
That it was. I forget the show. I think it's when they she turned us into monkeys.
What? This is, you were on drugs. I have no idea what you're talking about. I really don't remember this at all.
I don't have a good memory of the show, but we were dancing together in the room. We came in dancing and we went out dancing. And it was
weird.
It was just great. It was great.
Oh, Eddie. Wait, Jamie, you wanted to say something.
I just had a quick question because the parallels that are kind of coming at me are crazy. Ed, did you ever know Jim Gandolfini? Did you guys ever meet or cross paths?
Yes, I met Jim. And by the way, he was a sweetheart of a guy.
Oh, yes.
Then when I was doing a show called Big Apple in New York for David Milch, and it was the night that they were having their whatever year preview, and it was in a theater in Manhattan, and I went, and because I knew some of the guys on that show, and when I was introduced to him, I said, he said, "Oh, Mr. O'Neill," and I said, "No, call me Ed." He goes, "No, I can't call you Ed. I have to call you Mr. O'Neill." Great.
You remind me so much of him. Because I think to play the men that you guys played, could be obnoxious, abrasive, aggressive, but you both possess this sensitivity and access to emotions and like a safety that you create. And I just also think the parallel of the fact that like Christina and I were both 15 on a show, mine was for 10 years, and had these men play our fathers that were significant figures in our life is just very cool. But just watching the two of you and listening to you talk, it's just warming my heart because you remind me so much of him.
Well, thank you. That's a real compliment.
Yeah.
He was a wonderful actor.
Yeah. I actually worked with him and he played my dad in a movie. And
that's right.
It was a comedy. And James had to step out from some stuff, and he was hilarious. And yes, he does remind me of you. Like, you guys, personality wise, I know you so well and I know who you are. And
it's so unusual.
But it was like these like tough blue collar guys. Like,
yeah, from this like backgrounds, same, played football in college, like all the same.
There was an actor, and God damn it, I can't think of his name. He was a really good actor. And he was a regular or recurring on Sopranos. And we had him as my boss in Big Apple. And we were shooting a scene where my sister was dying in Queens. And so I was on call. I had to be notified I was going to run to Queens. And the phone rings. And it's her. It's them, the nurse saying, you better get here. And this actor was my boss. And he was sitting there. And I got up and I knocked something over and I was trying to find my way out. I couldn't get out. I was going the wrong way. And came back and I said, I was like, I couldn't get it together. I said, it's my sister. It's my sister. And he said, go ahead. Go. And I went through the wrong door. I came through the right door. And then I finally left. And after the shot, he came over to me and he said, Jesus Christ. That was like Gandolfini.
Oh, wow.
And I took it as such a compliment, and that's the first time I've heard that I heard back.
Wow.
I have to say this. My mom in 1975, I believe, took me to see the renowned movie called Cruisin' with Al Pacino. And I was a child. what? No, I'm getting to it. You just ruined the whole story, Eddie. Jeez. And so this movie was not for someone of my age. I was probably 6 or 7 years old. And it was about a cop who goes underground to the S&M gay clubs in New York, where there is a man going around and murdering other men in the S&M clubs. Yes, my mother took me to this. And she says to this day, well, I didn't know. I just loved Al Pacino. I said, okay, whatever. So there's this cop in the movie, and they're interrogating this guy, and the cop goes, put your fucking balls in the sink. Put your fucking balls in the sink.
But put your fucking balls in the sink, and if they don't float.
Yeah.
Guilty.
It was Ed.
Yeah. Bill Friedkin directed that.
Yeah, but I just remember seeing that. In fact, that I remembered that dialogue. Like, you made an impression on me back then at 6. I was like,
anybody would have.
Well, I knew then with science that if the balls sunk, we knew that he was the killer.
You're guilty.
Yeah, this is the kind of stuff my mom took me to, but Eddie was in it.
When we arrested, as an undercover cop, I had the job. We broke into this little room where he was in with the guy. We interrupted before he had sex because he wasn't gonna, have sex. And then I had to shove him on his stomach. He was naked. And Al was naked, and I had to handcuff him. Well, I'm not an expert at handcuffing, but they would pull the camera back. But he wanted me to handcuff him. Well, in the dark, and he's on his back, and he's jumping around on the mattress. My hands were all over his ass and his. Like, I'm mortified. I just got to get out of the scene. But I was in that. If you see the movie, you see that.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Now I gotta watch it. I gotta add it to the queue. Cruising.
Yeah.
Support for Messy comes from Element.
Element is a zero sugar electrolyte drink mix born from the growing body of research revealing that optimal health outcomes occur at sodium levels 2 to 3 times government recommendations. So each stick pack they have delivers a meaningful dose of electrolytes free of sugar, artificial colors, or other dodgy ingredients. It's formulated for anyone on a mission to restore their health through hydration. And it's perfectly suited for athletes, folks who are fasting, if you do keto, low carb, whole food, or if you do none of that and you're just like us. I love them. They come in these individual little packets. You can just throw them in your bag, throw them in any water. I'm very into the flavors, by the way.
And don't be confused, because Element is spelled LMNT.
Thank you.
Like the fancy way of saying element.
That's right.
It's element.
Who needs a vowel?
You don't. But you know what? For the Olympics, it was the exclusive hydration partner to Team USA.
I'm not surprised.
Weightlifting and many Olympic athletes.
I'm not surprised. And high-performing business leaders or quote-unquote executive athletes drink Element as part of their daily hydration routine. Moms, exercise enthusiasts, heavy sweaters, sauna sitters, anyone.
Navy SEALs, Jamie.
There you go. Well,
Navy
how could I forget
SEALs.
those guys?
FBI sniper teams. Come on.
My gosh.
They're up
Everyone.
there, they're snipering, and they're like, I'm thirsty.
They're hydrated is what they are. So join these fabulous people and get your free Element sample pack with any purchase at drinkelement.com/messy. Also try the new Element Sparkling, a bold 16-ounce can of sparkling electrolyte water.
How do they find out about our deals, Mama?
Yes. So try Element totally risk-free. If you don't like it, we'll refund your order. No question asked. Get your free Element sample pack by going to drinkelement.com/messy. That's drinkelement.com/messy.
And don't forget, it's LMNT.
Support for Messy comes from OneSkin. Do you know what I found out? That your body starts accumulating, they're called senescent cells, as early as your 20s. Do you want to know what senescent cells means? They're called zombie cells. And these asshole cells basically stop producing collagen and hyaluronic acid like they used to, and they start secreting an inflammatory substance that makes neighboring cells dysfunctional too. This is so unfair. But there is an answer for these zombie cells, and it comes from our friends at OneSkin.
Founded by an all-woman team of scientists, OneSkin is the first and only skin longevity company to target cellular sustenance, a key hallmark of aging with their propriety. OS01 peptide, OS01 is scientifically proven to decrease lines and wrinkles. You get a wrinkle, she gets a wrinkle. Not anymore, not with this brand. It boosts hydration and helps with the thinning skin that often comes with age. They've got over 4,000 5-star reviews for their full line of face, body, sun, and travel size products.
And for a limited time, you can try OneSkin for 15% off using the code MESSY when you check out at oneskin.com. With OneSkin, your skin can stay healthy, strong, and hydrated at every age. I have been using their serum, and I've noticed such a difference in my skin. I really love it. It's their OS01 peptide. It apparently reverses skin's biological age. Okay, that's what we're all wanting, right?
That's crazy.
OneSkin is the world's first skin longevity company by focusing on the cellular aspects of aging. OneSkin keeps your skin looking and acting younger for longer. Get started today with 15% off using code MESSY at oneskin.co. That's 15% off oneskin.co with code MESSY. And after you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about it. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Do you still practice jujitsu?
I haven't since the pandemic, but I had done it for 30 some years.
Wow.
With the Gracies.
Well, that's why he looks the way he does. Yeah, he's a black belt. Talk about that. Pretty cool.
I'm a black belt. And that was probably my greatest accomplishment other than the kids, I guess. Because that's hard to get from them.
How long did it take?
It took me 16 years.
Wow.
I don't know why I just kept going back. I'm a glutton for punishment, I guess.
You were always there when we were shooting. Always.
Yeah.
It was like your thing. Like you had to do
it. I was so fascinated with them.
With the Gracies or with the jiu-jitsus? Well, they're kind of handsome people too.
Oh, yes.
I mean, hello. The one son. Oh my God.
They're all pretty good looking.
Good looking boys.
Does jiu-jitsu have a lot of metaphoric, like life lessons in it, like a lot of martial arts tend to have?
No. It's just the techniques, you know.
Yeah.
They don't go in from the spiritual side of it, although they're kind of spiritual family. But they never talk about that stuff. I don't even know where they stand on that. They have a diet that most of them adhere to. And they're just, they're more like a samurai family.
Like ninjas or something.
Yeah. Kind of, they have an aura about them that's interesting. When I was in Jamaica, we went on a cruise. It was called the Jiu-Jitsu Cruise.
Oh my God!
Like, we had part of the ship, and we train outside on the top sport deck. It was really fun. And we when you pull into Jamaica, you know how those cruises are. You have like 3 or 4 hours to go in and buy something, and then sales. Well, in Jamaica, when you come off the boat, you're out on this long dock, so you're walking in towards the beach. And they got to have 100 Jamaicans, with the Rastafarian thing, and they're selling everything. And so we got off the boat with the tourists, and there were about 15 Brazilian black belts on the cruise with the Gracies. And we all got off the boat. I wasn't a black belt at the time, but I was with them. And we're walking down the pier, and these guys they're just swarming the tourists. It's like the tourists are being abused almost. They walked right through the crowd. Nobody approached them. Nobody said a word to them. They just went right through. And when I got to the beach, I said to Horian Gracie, I said, what happened there? Why didn't they try to sell you something? He said, they know. Third world. We're from a third world country too,
Therein lies the lesson right there.
They don't bother with us. They
know that they'll just take them. You tried to show me like some moves back in the day. It's some choking out stuff. Like it's not like, it's like just choke out and down and you're done and you're over and you're gone. Like there's no like, oh, it's like. But then I get confused between Krav Maga and Jiu-Jitsu. And that's just my ignorance because, well, Krav Maga is the Israeli fighting
self-defense.
Right. I mean, I know that now, but I think that sometimes the verbiage gets me confused. But
the Krav Maga, no, it's more like, headbutting and elbows and knees and to try to just get out of it quick, The jiu-jitsu is more of if you're somewhere where you have a little room and you take more time. Like jiu-jitsu is good for somebody. It's very good for women, by the way, because you don't have to be necessarily strong or fast or young. You can be smaller, slower, older,
bigger, smaller, disabled.
You can still defend yourself because of the leverages and the energy saving system that it is, the breathing and positioning. So it's quite.
Do you think it served? I mean, it probably did. I can also, especially as an actor, like to have something else that you can have a passion for and like work hard at and.
Yeah, any kind of discipline
is important, and I'm sure that especially during you saying you started it when Married with Children was in the beginning stages of it.
I started it when I was 40 and I'm 77. So
math, we don't do math, but I love you.
7 years.
Okay.
But I have rolled in 4 or 5. So I did it over 30 years.
Yeah.
God, I just remember the first day I came in there. I remember what Katie was wearing, and we're going to have Katie on the show too, but the two of you just blew my mind. She was just so sexy in these jeans and this white t-shirt. And you were just like, and I was just so intimidated to be there. But I wanted to ask you this. This is really important to know. Julie Bowen or me?
Oh my God. You mean for daughter?
Favorite daughter. You don't have to answer that. It's fine. I'm in this new, whose favorite am I to everyone that we talk to?
Funny? First of all, you're completely different people.
Yes.
And secondly, though, the thing that you both have that I really like is good hearts. You're good-hearted, and Julie's very good-hearted. She's a little crazy energy, but she's good-hearted, and I love that about her.
I know you love her. I would never ask that actually. I was doing jest, but I see her at, we belong to the same tennis club. So I've seen her up there. Not that I'm playing tennis right now, guys. She's a
good person.
She's a good egg, but I love our relationship now, Eddie, like our relationship now of me being 52 years old and the fact that you and I can talk on the phone for hours and giggle and talk about everything. Like we talk a lot. I talk to you more than I talk to anyone else on the telephone. I really do.
I know, it's fun.
Because I hate talking on the telephone, but I'll get on with him get on with him as long as he doesn't call while I'm sleeping. But then we'll get on and we'll just stay on there. It's like the best. I've always wanted that relationship with you. I think because when I was so young and I was going through all my shit and I was such an asshole sometimes, and I was so kind of took myself out of the group a lot because I had to, whatever. But I wanted to be part of the group on the couch laughing. And oftentimes I didn't have the personality for it, or I was going through my own stuff and I wouldn't insert myself there. And I loved watching you guys laugh, but I couldn't be there. You and Dave and Katie. And now I'm like, you're like my best friend.
I never thought that you were going through that. I mean, I knew you had some, relationship things and other things, but nothing. I never felt that way about. I always thought you were part of the group.
I just kind of shut myself out. It's like, it was my own stuff. It wasn't you guys. It was me not feeling that I fit in.
Everybody changes over time.
And I was like really like into like, we don't say these words. And, I was so good, like no cussing. I was like really weird for a while.
Wow. Really?
No, I know. Yeah. No cussing, no negative speak. Fuck that. Right, guys? Fuck that.
Well, I've cussed since I used to not cuss because my father told me not to. And then I heard him say cocksucker one day when a dog ran out in front of the truck.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't, that was a mistake. And I thought, no, it wasn't.
Yeah. I learned how to say cocksucker in preschool from a kid named Nathaniel Kunkel, who was Russ Kunkel's son. Russ Kunkel, the famous drummer, which you guys might not know, but Russ Kunkel is like one of the most legendary drummers in the world. I went to preschool with his kid, and he taught all of us how to say cocksucker. And so there we were at 4 years old, coming home going, cocksucker, 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 cocksucker. So it's a good word. Love it.
It is when used appropriately.
Yeah. I mean, I think you can abuse anything. But I like a little bit of salty language. I think it adds to things.
You're a salty dog, Eddie.
There's nothing that is more expressive than a good, a
good cuss.
Yeah, I think it's good.
Now, what are you doing? You don't have to do diddly squat, but.
Well, I've got that mini series. It's about that scandal on the LA Clippers.
Okay. And that's the one that you were doing.
I was doing the owner
that time.
I think it's good. I think it's a very interesting, and I think if it's, I think fly on the wall kind of thing, people will like to watch it.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
How proud are you of Christina and the person that she is?
Of course, I'm very proud of Christina. Remember when I went and saw you in the show you were doing, and I surprised you when I snuck in and knocked on the. Where have you been, young lady?
Yep, that was Jesse, and we hadn't seen each other since we had wrapped Married, so it had been a while. And I was on this show called Jesse.
Yeah.
On some channel. It had to have been NBC because it was by the people that did Friends.
Yeah.
And they surprised me with Ed. I went to the door and knocked, and it opened, and it was Ed. And I burst into tears. And I think it was like this moment of appreciation for Eddie that I think we had to kind of step away from all of it to like I missed you. When I saw you, I really got chills and I cried because I love you so. Now I'm going to be stupid. I love you so much. Like, you're such a huge part of who I am.
Well, that's the way the business is. You work so long sometimes with people, and then one day it's over. And then, I'm going to call you and we're going to do this. And you're going to, at first you think that's going to happen. And then, it happened for me with Modern Family. Everybody was saying, we're not going to, we're going to keep in touch constantly. And I thought, no, we're not. Oh, it is, because life takes you different ways.
And it's really interesting that you, Dave, and Katie and I still do.
Yeah.
It's
beautiful. That's so special.
Not a lot of time goes by without someone checking in with someone. And, Eddie and I, like I said, he and I are the only ones that talk on the phone all the time. Katie has come over and laid in bed with me. Dave, I see Dave a lot. Our kids went to the same school for a bit. But you're my family. You really are my family. And coming from being a little kid and growing up from being 15 to 24 years old with these people, you hold a huge part of my heart in my. See, now I'm being all periody, and I don't have my period. I'm in menopause. I hold you to a higher esteem than I do anybody else. Eddie.
Well, a lot of that I think is because, when we started out, nobody knew who we were. Maybe they knew Katie a little bit because Katie had done that show with Mary Tyler Moore, where she was that salty secretary. But nobody knew me.
Hey, man, I had been on Growing Pains and Silver Spoons and Family Ties.
More well-known than me. But what I mean is
the
show itself wasn't expected to make it. I always called Fox's shock troops, like in the war, they would put the first assault group on the beach to get mowed down. Then they eventually the third or fourth would make it through. And I thought, well, we're that first wave, we're going to get mowed.
We were always the black sheep. I mean,
Always.
Tell the story about how you found out we were canceled. I mean, this is insane, you guys. 11 fucking years created the network. We're the first show to air on the network. Here, Ed, why don't you say how you found out we were canceled?
Well, I was back in my hometown and I was at this little bed and breakfast by the university because I was at the university for something. And it was a beautiful day. It was in the spring. And I came out, and this was a really nice Elizabethan or Victorian converted house built in the turn of the century. And they had the gardens, and I came out, and it was such a nice day. And a car pulled in with the just married things hanging off the back, the tin cans and how they do that. They used to do it.
Yeah.
And I thought, just married. So I was standing there and they got out of the car and it was the husband and wife. And they were still in the, she was in the gown and he was in the tux. And he said, "Oh my God, it's Al Bundy, in Ohio." And I said, "Yeah, congratulations, you got married." And they said, "Yeah, oh my God, I can't believe it." And the woman said, "Well, we're so sorry about your show." And I said, what do you mean?" And the guy said, "Oh my God, he doesn't know. It's on the radio. You got canceled." "Oh, we're so sorry." And I said, "I'd rather hear it from you." So I took him inside. I bought him a champagne, good luck. And I left.
I can't believe that.
Kevin and Bean knew before we did. Yeah. Kevin and Bean was a radio show. I found out from a guy who knew a guy who worked for my assistant at the time. That's how I found out. They never called us. They never told us we were canceled.
They called me.
They never called me.
6 months later, they wanted me to do, but I won't mention the guy because, I used to get Christmas cards from him for years. 11 years, not a word, no gifts. I said, I thought the Golden Girls got Mercedes-Benzes when they did their last show, which they did. He said, "Oh, Ed, do you think we'd let you go without wonderful gifts?" I said, "Oh, they're coming after 6 months?" "Yes, of course." I said, "Well, let me give you a helpful hint. I've got steak knives." And he said, "Oh, you're so funny."
Good for you.
Never got a gift. Never got a thing from them.
I never got a gift. And also I don't get residuals. So, they don't.
Yeah.
People are always like, "No, I don't get anything."
I get them, but they're not big.
I get like $1 every once in a while. No, I'm not kidding.
Well,
like
that's why these relationships in this business are so important and so valuable because of the other ways that you can just feel discarded or where you feel like those relationships didn't mean as much as you expected them to.
I think that we should have had a last episode. We should have been gearing up to a moment to say goodbye.
I had it all set up with Moye and Levitt.
What was it? We all died or something, right?
Well, no, I don't know what it was about, but they were going to do it. They wanted to do it,
Oh, that's right. You were going to bring them back for it because they had left.
Because I ran into Bernie Brillstein after 3 years on the show. And Bernie Brillstein was this legendary manager. Mm-hmm. And he had a meeting and I was with ICM and then Jimmy Wyatt ran ICM and he was friends with Bernie. And I had a meeting and there were like 12 people in the room and they pitched how wonderful it would be to be with Bernie. And they had Saturday Night Live and all those shows. They also produced, which I thought was kind of interesting, So I said, "Let me ask you a question, Bernie. Why would I want to go with you? I mean, I've got an agent. I've got a show. What's the upside?" He said, "Well, that's a good question." He said, "Would it interest you to know that your next door neighbor makes more money than you?"
Oh,
yeah, that would interest me quite a bit. Long story short, he said, "Look, kid, you come with me. I'll teach you the business. You'll make a shitload of money and you'll have a lot of laughs.
Hmm.
I said, where do I sign up? He said, right here.
Oh, he was a great guy.
Never signed a piece of paper. Never signed anything with him.
He was one of the original producers of Sopranos too.
Yes, and they had many shows. Gary Shandling,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
All Saturday Night Live.
I love that story.
So it was interesting because when I was negotiating after the 8th year for Married, which was a big negotiation.
Do I want to hear any of this?
No. What happened was they made their best and final offer. You know how they do this. Now, if I wasn't Bernie, I would have needed to have been sedated, you know, during this time, because they had a lawyer following me around, that Pelikanos, who went to prison.
Okay.
For like, you know, is he playing handball? He's supposed to have a bad back, all that stuff that they do. He'll never work again. He's breaching the contract. Long story short, Gary Lieberthal was the head of Columbia at that time. And I was with Bernie in the office and he called in. This is in Bernie's book. The last offer, Bernie said, Gary said, doesn't he love it? I mean, he must love it. It's so much money and it's just great. And Bernie said, that's so happy. He said, he doesn't like it. He doesn't like it. What can I tell you? And so Gary screamed top of his lungs 3 or 4 times. What the fuck does he want? You know, 3 or 4 times. And I was like, oh my God. And Bernie said, here was his answer. I don't know, Gary, what he wants, but I think I'll know it when I hear it.
Oh my God.
He was so great. I lucked into Bernie.
You really did.
And
Mark is an amazing guy too.
He was on the phone again with Gary.
Mm-hmm.
And I was there in the room. And he said, Ed likes it. Oh, we love Ed. We love Ed so much. You know, they were going to sue me the week before, and I would never.
Mm-hmm. I think they're going to sue both. Didn't we do an episode called Al with Kelly? Because I was holding out too, but then I didn't get shit. All right, I love you.
Well, he said, tell Ed, we can't wait to see him on Monday. We're going to work. We're going to have a wonderful time. He said, okay. All right, Bernie, you know I love you, and I'll call you tomorrow about that other thing with the. Okay. Thank you. Oh, Gary. Well, Gary, one other thing. What, Bernie? You know, Ed drives a Mustang. You know that. Where are we going with this, Bernie? It's a Mustang. You know, it's a hardtop, fucking Mustang. It's number 1 on the call sheet. He's in the number 1 parking spot on the fucking lot. He drives a Mustang. How do you live with that? What's he like? What's he want? A fucking Corvette? He said he wants German.
Eddie, your stories.
He likes German cars. Harry, you know the Porsche dealership in Burbank. You know that place down there. You go by it. I went by the other day. They have a 1989. This is 89. 1989 Carrera 4 with wire wheels. It's beautiful. Be that guy, Gary.
There you go.
Yeah. Take him in the morning down there and buy him that fucking car. Okay? Love you. Click.
There you go. I got a gift card to Macy's.
And he did.
Sorry.
Now that doesn't happen.
He did.
Anymore.
He did.
I drove up.
Oh my God. That's awesome.
That doesn't happen anymore.
No, it doesn't happen.
Just doesn't. But again, he was the last of that.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So we're so lucky if we get these jobs,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
get to do it with people you like and people you like to work with, and good writers and good, you know, I mean, it's just the luckiest thing.
When you have the thing that happens, that thing, like I think with Modern Family, that was a gorgeous, like stars aligning of a cast and writing and storyline. And, you know, our show was so dirty and so hit or miss, and no one knew what was happening. And
in a different way.
Yeah. But Modern Family, Sadie and I have watched every season together and every episode, and it's such a perfect amalgamation of everyone. And I don't say that a lot because I actually don't like a lot of shows because I hate watching actors. But to me, it wasn't watching that. It was like being a fly on the wall of this beautifully diverse, incredible storylines, and the jokes and the funny was so good. Like, I love that. And I'm
that
sure
show was truly one of the better comedies.
The greatest shows on that have ever been on television.
It was made beautifully. It was just made well. They knew how to make it this show. The writing was great, smart. The ensemble stuff was great. I mean, sometimes I'd be out there and we'd be doing a big ensemble thing and it would just be flying. And you're thinking, how are we doing this?
Wow.
I'm part of it.
Oh.
And how am I doing it? I don't even know where my next cue is, but it's there, you know? That's when it's like,
absolutely.
Really cool to do that.
That is a very special feeling.
We're going to let you go because I love you and I want you to, unless you want to keep talking, we could just sit here all day because I got nothing going on, but
that's more than enough stories.
I love your stories.
I could listen.
Well, then you should understand when Eddie and I get on that phone, this is what happens. And we laugh and Ed talks and I listen.
Too much.
You're my love. I love you.
Fun though. This has been a lot of fun. I knew it would
Thank
be.
You. Of course it's going to be. Well, you've made it fun and you've made our hearts sing and we love you so much. And
nice talking to you two guys.
Thank you so much. It was so lovely to meet you and talk to you.
Oh, I feel the same way.
Well, he's even better than you said he was going to be.
No, I know. And I think we probably could have talked for about 3 hours on here.
Yeah. And he's the type of guy, though he's such a good storyteller, I would happily sit for hours and just listen to him tell me the stories.
And he'd happily tell them to you. For those of you, I think that when we said it's time to, it's time, I think he was a little sad that he had to leave.
I know.
He wanted to tell us so much more stuff.
Made me happy, by the way.
I know. He was like, wait, what? Like there was that look on his face like, wait, we're done? But
and he has daughters. He loves you so much. And I truly, like, not to make it about myself, but I was just listening to the two of you and listening to him. And like, I never met him before. So getting to know him essentially in over this interview, like the parallels of you and I and having those type of men sort of kind of raise us as well during those formative years of our lives is really crazy.
No, he was it for me because my dad, my mom and dad separated when I was 3 months old. So that was that, so I didn't have anybody there. So he was the guy. And that wasn't until I was 15, till I was 15. And then he became the guy. So like I said at the beginning, if you don't like something about me, blame him. If you do like something about me, blame him.
I get it.
I love that we have this relationship now because it wasn't necessarily like that. Not that it was bad, but it was like I was the kid and they were the adults and stuff. And now that I'm grown, we are on the same playing field of life.
Yeah. And you both have a wisdom and experience about you both. Yeah. And you can speak. It's similar with Edie.
Yeah. I'm so happy that you guys had that too. So we're all very, I guess, pretty lucky, I guess. Are we going to pull some cards of wisdom?
So I pulled a card. I did not look. And guess who wrote it?
Is it wisdom?
Our old friend, Eckhart.
Let's
see what he's got to say. Life will give you whatever experience is most helpful for the evolution of your consciousness. How do you know this is the experience you need? Because this is the experience you are having at this moment. I know you don't like it when I say it, but I believe it. As hard as this is for us, I know that I know, but I do believe it's for us in a way. Yet to be revealed, maybe, but.
Thank God for you,
But I think the man's right. Thank God for you too.
Okay, but you okay? No, I'm not. I'm just going to it that one right now. I'm going to
I'm not asking for anything more from you. You don't need to give another syllable, sound, nothing. And so it is.
And so it is, my darling. This show is executive produced by Christina Applegate, Jamie Lynn Siegler, and Allison Bresnick. Our audio engineer is Josh Windish.
And if you want to show us some love, don't forget to leave the show a rating or review. Hi, it's Jamie. Thanks for listening. I just want to let you know I am a paid spokesperson for Novartis, but this podcast is independent from my collaboration with Novartis.